I want to give a brief story about my first experience, and my only experience actually, trying DMT, dimethyltryptamine. I love you, man.
I love you.
You know, last month, we've known each other for 18 years.
18 years?
18 years. That's a long time, man.
Yeah, that's about my limit.
Goodbye forever.
Goodbye forever.
Okay.
It's been real.
It's been real. Welcome back to another special episode of Psycosmos. Today, I'm going to give another great brief story about...
Another? Nani? Antoni?
I want to give a brief story about my first experience, and my only experience actually, trying DMT, dimethyltryptamine. This was when I was in college many years ago, and I was experimenting, and I just want to share this experience with a lot of other people.
It's just for insight purposes.
Yes, it's just for insight.
There's a guy who does these sorts of videos on YouTube. He mentions it once or twice. For those who don't know, his name is Joe Rogan.
Yes.
I did DMT 3 times in a day.
Wow. If you don't know him,
he's a popular podcast.
Yeah.
There's a joke frequently where he brings up in conversation a lot of the time DMT and the fact that he's smoked DMT and have a lot of important, really, I guess, mind-altering experiences on them, and they've really shaped his outlook on life in a, from what I can gather, really positive way. So yeah, good for him.
Have you ever tried DMT? Oh, Jamie!
So here's the thing about DMT. If you don't know what dimethyltryptamine is, it's been coined the God particle, and it is something that is excreted from your pineal gland within your brain. It is the chemical that drives dreams and dream making, and it can also be smoked or drank.
So Matthew introduced me to this book, The Cosmic Serpent.
That's right.
Which we'll talk about at some point in more detail, probably in the future. This got me started in some of the knowledge, and it's really interesting with the DMT when it's drank in a lot of these tribes in the Amazon, because there's a specific plant that has a DMT in it, but normally when the DMT hits your stomach acid, there's an
enzyme.
Is that what an enzyme?
Yeah, it's an enzyme that destroys the DMT particle.
It switches it off basically, so
yeah.
you can't. It destroys it so it can't fully activate.
Right.
But there's another plant that the Amazonian shamans figured out. When you combine this specific plant with the specific DMT plant, you get the brew of ayahuasca,
yes,
as it's commonly called, and that will turn off that enzyme so that you can experience the DMT. And unlike when you smoke it, it's debatably more powerful, and it definitely lasts a lot longer.
Hours. And not only that, but many people who do it all within the same period, and they do it with a shaman, generally say they have the same experience. And most of them see snakes. And that's actually one of the things I want to talk about when it comes to not only the Cosmic Serpent, but with my experience with DMT. I had done some research on what it looked like, and it actually did really intrigue me, especially since I consider myself pretty spiritual, and a lot of these people had those types of experiences. I'm not really one for hallucinogenics or psychedelics. However, it did pique my interest that it was known as the God particle, and it's also something that's commonly found within anything that has DNA, including plants, animals, and human beings.
It's also released, your brain releases amounts of it when you die.
Oh, yes, that's true.
Fun fact. That's why a lot of people who have near-death experiences, or they die and then come back or something like that, in that moment, when they die and the DMT gets released into their brain, it's very common for people to experience something akin to a door opening, or going through a portal or a tube to another place,
yes,
if you will.
Yes, and that's actually something that I experienced. So here's my experience with DMT. So I said, you know what? It's the end of my college my college career. I might as well try something new and wild while I still have the opportunity, and I can't do it while I'm working in a career.
So your wild oats.
Yeah, so my wild oats. This is what happened. There are 3 phases to a DMT trip. The first one is that everything starts getting all wishy-washy and hallucinogenic. The second one is that you see a tunnel, and the third one is you break through the tunnel. I didn't break through the tunnel, and I could have that process wrong, but I didn't break through the tunnel. I'll give my experience as unanalytical as possible. This is what I experienced. The first thing that happened to me was I had my eyes open, and for the first 5 minutes, time kind of flowed normally. It was interesting, to say the least. It felt as though, if you've ever been in, a bathroom that has a double-sided mirrors, and it kind of just like goes forever, that's what it kind of looked like in the room that I was in, where it just kind of went forever. So what ended up happening was I noticed that my friend who also took the other half of the DMT, he was sitting there and he had his eyes closed, so I wanted to try that as well. And after I closed my eyes and focused for about 10 seconds, I had one of the most, if not the most powerful experience of my life. I essentially astral projected out of my body, and I saw myself watching myself leave, going through basically space, as I saw the house that I was in on a little rock floating in space. And as I went out further and further, I saw it then kind of changed shape to the earth. And then as I left, I kind of turned away from the earth while I was like kind of floating in space, and I looked, and it was a giant tunnel, if you will, of rainbow colors. And the rainbow colors were moving and they were gyrating, and it was very beautiful. And after focusing for a little while, I started to see what I at first thought were like eel-like shaped creatures, and they didn't have a face because they were so large within my vision, and they were kind of going like this all throughout my vision. One was above and one was below, and as they were kind of oscillating like this in my vision, I was trying to focus on like the center point, which was a giant light, and as I did, this giant rainbow snake, and I should also mention that these two eel-like structure things that I was witnessing, they were rainbow in color, and they were almost like opaque with the background of the tunnel. They were made of essentially the same light, and it was the same patterns and everything else. All I could see was a thin outline of the being itself. What ended up happening was, as I stared at this center point, eventually at some point, a rainbow snake with a giant crystal in its forehead came up into my vision and blocked me from moving any further towards into that point. And from then on, this being described to me a number of things. I can't remember everything, as most people will tell you after they experience DMT. However, if I were to guess, I would guess that this being had a conversation with me for what felt like somewhere between 4 and 7 years. And within it. Now, granted, in the real world, this only took about 7 minutes. But for me, it felt like it was years. And this being explained to me that she was Mother Earth, she was Gaia, and she told me I did not have to go through this tunnel. I did not have to experience what was on the other side yet. That there were things that were in my path that were waiting to be awakened, and my destiny was about to be unfolded. And the biggest takeaway that I got was she explained to me what love was, and that everything is connected. She explained how energy works to me, and she explained to me that the human consciousness is rising, and we're all going towards a much better, positive place. That's essentially the largest amount of information that she gave to me. That's the majority of what I remember, although I do know that she told me a wonderful amount of fascinating stories, and explained to me how much she loved me and how much everything around me loved me, and that love is really the driving force of the universe. And for most people that believe in God, that is what love is. It even says in the Bible that God is love. So after I came down from this trip, I didn't really remember a lot of it at first. But slowly over time, things started coming back to me, and it's very strange because even to this day, I'll remember little bits and pieces of something new of that conversation that I had as time goes on. And no matter what, it's always been positive. And since that day, I felt as though I've had a protective entity kind of over me, and I feel as though I've kind of awakened to who I really am and what my purpose here is on this planet. So and that purpose, by the way, is to make videos on Psycosmos and share all of these wonderful experiences with you guys and spread the truth about love and how it should be our driving focal point.
And everything's connected.
And that everything is connected, yes. Everything is absolutely connected through energy. And that energy is essentially what people call God.
So I'm curious, I have a few questions here.
Yeah.
When you were asked for projecting,
Yeah.
was there anything connecting your astral self to your physical body?
I felt that. I know that it was there.
Could you see anything?
No, I couldn't. I don't think I could see anything. But a lot of my vision at certain points was very third person. So I was looking at myself, looking at things. And it was very strange.
Does your physical body look any different than it normally does when you're here?
Did my physical body when I was astral projecting?
Yeah.
No, not really. I was wearing the same clothes and everything else. But I don't know. Maybe that could just be chalked up to subconscious or something.
At any point in the way that like we're sitting here and you can look at your own hands, did you or could you do anything like that?
I didn't look at my
astral
own
self?
hands. No, yeah. I wasn't really looking at my own self like that. I was too busy looking at everything else.
And the giant snake.
And the giant,
giving you the wisdom
the giant
of the
serpent.
universe. Yeah.
But here's the funny thing. So bringing that up, years later, I came across this book, The Cosmic Serpent, as per recommendation by Jordan B. Peterson. I was watching one of his lectures, and
JPB?
Yes, and he brought this up. By the way, Jordan Peterson, wonderful recommendation. I highly recommend anybody to read this book. This book talks about DMT. It talks about DNA, and it also talks about how in many ancient cultures, from thousands of years ago, whether they're Nordic, Amazonian, or Mesoamerican, or basically there are many different cultures that associate a snake with a lot of different aspects of humanity. One of the other cultures would be the Kundalini in Hindu culture. The really interesting, weird thing about this is the title, the Cosmic Serpent. That's what drew me to it, because that's what I saw, the Cosmic Serpent. And funny enough, all these cultures talk about taking ayahuasca and DMT to meet the giant rainbow snake with a quartz-like crystalline structure in its forehead. I feel as though it's no coincidence that I would stumble upon this book and all of this wonderful information after I had met her and I had come to contact with her being. As a message from Mother Earth, as a message from Gaia to all people on this planet, you are very loved. And even if you can't see or feel that love, you have to search deeper and you will find it. Everything must come from within. If you have to meditate, if you have to think, if you have to clear your emotions and your mind, then do so. Find the path that you need to walk, but always, always remember that you are loved. And love is always going to be here with you. And that's something that she wanted me to share with the entire world.
You know, in the words of a wise man that goes along with that, there's nothing outside of yourself that can ever enable you to become stronger, better, or quicker. Everything is within.
That's true.
Miyamoto Musashi.
Miyamoto Musashi. Yes.
Full name, Shinmen Musashi no Kami Fujiwara no Genshin. That's how he introduces himself.
That's
in his
awesome.
book. Yeah,
That's awesome.
Quite the name.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you comment, subscribe, and like the video.
Ring the bell.
Ring that notification bell so you can stay up to date with all of our things. We're giving away a Nintendo Switch at 1,000 subscribers, and we're going to be doing more giveaways in the future. You can also follow us on social media. Make sure you check out our Instagram. That's our biggest, most poppin' social media. And you can also check us out on Patreon. Let us know if you have any recommendations for our Patreon or anything else. Leave us some comments below. And once again, thank you for watching. You're definitely loved on this planet.
We love you.